Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I am the CHALL and welcome to the DRFC match report. Now this is Salford City 3, Doncaster Rovers 1, and yes, it was embarrassing. Now then, we're going to be speaking in detail about the going ahead into the fixture. We're going to speak more in detail on the first half, the second half, full time, what we're looking forward to next, or what we shouldn't be looking forward to next, for both teams as well. So Salford fans, this video is for you as well. So please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to know this YouTube video. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers and 500,000 views. Now this channel is all about the latest in the theme park industry and also the sporting industry. We've got plenty of content coming from the Football League, from the National League, from the theme parks. It is all going down. I'm so sorry, Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans, that you didn't get your vlog this weekend. Train strikes, just a flaming nightmare. And for now, guys, let's go into the Salford City 3, Doncaster Rovers 1 match report. So Salford hosted Doncaster this weekend, with the Ammies looking to get back to winning ways after a close defeat against Crewe Alexandra, and the Vikings look to make it a second win in a row after victory at the Eco Bar Stadium against AFC Wimbledon. Now then, the lineups. Now, of course, with Charlie Lakin now out for the rest of the season and Mitchell 50-50 going into the morning of the game, it was determined that an emergency loan keeper was the solution. And they brought in Stuart Moore, the 28-year-old from Blackpool, managed by Mick McCarthy in the Sky Bet Championship. Now, Stuart Moore, a little bit on Stuart Moore for you. Of course, he's got experience in promotion from League 2 as the goalkeeper at MK Dons a few years ago, getting promoted under Paul Tisdale. Now, this guy has not started a game this season, or not even featured in a game this season, and it's only his second game since October 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And it was always going to be loads of rustiness when it comes to Stuart Moore. Yes, he'll be on the training pitch, however, I think there'll be a lot of rustiness going into this game. Now then, the two changes that Schofield made, setting up his 3-4-3 for this particular match, was of course bringing in Cal Hurst to replace Charlie Lakin, and bringing in Stuart Moore to start ahead of the injured Mitchell. So then Doncaster Rovers lined up with the following. We had Stuart Moore in goal, we had wing-back roles for Charlie Seaman and James Brown, we had a back sort of three of Rowe, Nelson and Olowu, we also had a midfield of Close and Biggins, we also had Hurst and Molyneux either side of George Miller. Now then, for Salford City, the hosts, it was a first start for ex-Yenny Maletaspor midfielder Stevie Mallon, as Liam Shepherd was moved on to the bench. Ex-Rovers loanee Ethan Galbraith and Doncaster-born goalkeeper Alex Cairns started for Salford, as Neil Wood set up his Salford army in the 4-3-3. So with Alex Cairns in goal, with Ibu Toure as captain, Jason Lowe, Elliot Watt, Callum Hendry, Stevie Mallon, Ethan Galbraith, Louis Barry, Luke Bolton, Leake and Theo Vassell completing the Salford lineup, it was time to head into the match. So then the first half of the game, and it's fair to say it was interesting to say the least. I think there was a frantic sort of opening couple of minutes, looked a bit at toing and froing. I feel like Salford, though, were on the upper hand. They looked like they had a real game plan. They stuck to it. And it definitely felt like that Salford were definitely a lot more solid and a lot more structured in how they were going to attack and how they were going to break us down. And I think the one thing that really struck me with Salford, especially in the first half, was the aerial ability. I think the long balls over the top, the long balls down the wing. I think that Salford were quick, pacey, strong. In terms of specific moments, obviously the big high boot from Rowe on Bolton towards the start of the match. Looking back on that moment, I feel personally as if that was, Bolton's head was kind of tilted to the waist down a bit, so it's hard to make a 100% fair judgment on the situation. I won't lie to you, I'm a Rovers fan, Salford fans, but I won't lie to you, I thought it would be a red at first, and then I sort of thought, okay, yellow card, because at first glance, I did think it was a high boot, but then you look at the replays again, and, Bolton's head was a little bit towards waist level rather than high level, so it wouldn't have been classed as a high boot, it would have been just a normal contact. But yellow was fair. I think Rovers fans may complain about that, but I personally feel like a yellow card was fair in the situation. But there may be times where I watch it again and maybe think it wasn't a yellow card, but that's just my personal opinion anyway. Obviously, Rovers went 1-0 down in the first half. Just calamitous goal. So Brown passed it into Olowu, who was under pressure. He lost control of the ball in the danger zone. They nipped it off him. There was a man open in space who should have been marked, in my opinion, and he wasn't. And bang, space. No one really around him. Easy finish. In you go. And it was all systems go, really. We equalised not too long after that. Good finish from George Miller. Good play through by Luke Molyneux. Luke Molyneux, I have to say, across both halves has been probably the most creative player on the pitch for Rovers for me. I've got to be brutally honest here. I feel like Luke Molyneux is the cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say. You know, the pigeon got dead. And Molyneux, for me, you know, really created a lot, really embraced the space available to him. I feel like Molyneux made a lot of Rovers attacks happen, the Rovers attacks that did happen, because don't forget, Salford had 20 shots in this game with 7 on target. We had 6 shots, 1 on target. So anytime we came forward, Molyneux was definitely involved in some capacity. And, you know, Molyneux was probably the most effective player going forward today. Miller had his goal today, which was fantastic, but I feel with Miller, he's still too isolated. And even when you put 2 up front, you know, there's no real threat when you put when you put the 2 strikers up front. There wasn't really a threat or a service, and that's because we had our heads buried pretty much. And you know, after the equaliser, we go behind again, and this is an interesting one. So people are going to look at this and say, "Oh, it's a calamitous mistake. What is the goalkeeper doing? We've got another bloody blah goalkeeper." I'm going to be honest but fair. Take away the mistake on the second goal. Before and after that, Moore produced some wonderful saves. The other 2 goals we conceded weren't his fault. There were 2 defensive lapse in concentrations. The mistake was poor. I'm not arguing that. I'm not taking away that at all. Overall, I don't think Moore had a poor game. Take the mistake out of it, I don't think he had a poor game. I think he had a solid game. But the mistake doesn't make it a clear-cut good performance, you know. Like I said, the 2 goals we conceded weren't exactly his fault, but the second goal we conceded, he's got to be doing better than that. I think he overcompensated it. If you want me to be really honest, I think he overcompensated it from the angle that I saw of the goal. But it was a good strike. Don't take anything away from the strike, but we overcompensated it, and it was just not good enough. So 2-1 down in the ready for the second half, and I don't know what happened in the second half. We had a sustained amount of pressure, but again, no real clinical edge at the end. And again, I think Miller fired twice. Twice Miller was brought out wide, and the first one especially. You know, where was the support for George Miller? He was brought out wide, but where was the support? It's like Miller was left on his own again, and he felt very isolated again. Miller runs his socks off, and yes, he got his goal today, but he felt very isolated again. And like I said, Molyneux was the most creative threat. Hurst, I'll be brutally honest with Hurst, I didn't think he did much. I really didn't notice him. Midfield, I think Close and Biggins had interesting games. I didn't think it was overall brilliant. I think it was just okay. It was average. If you want me to be brutally honest, the best midfielder on the pitch, and we had him on loan last season, Ethan Galbraith for Salford. He absolutely ran that midfield for Salford today. But Salford's best player on the pitch today was Luke Bolton. And Rovers fans are going to slam me for saying that, because he's the guy that shushed the fans after the first goal. He's the guy who scored the 3rd goal in the second half. He's the guy who was involved in the sort of high boot, waist boot collision in the start of the game with Tommy Rowe that got Tommy Rowe the yellow card and put him on a tightrope for the remainder of the game. But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be fair, I'm going to be impartial. Luke Bolton had a fantastic game for Salford and was deservedly man of the match. And I think it told the story when Salford's man of the match poll for their fans was, and the 4 options, were Luke Bolton, and not Ethan Galbraith, Luke Bolton again. So all 4 options were Luke Bolton. That told you everything. But overall, yeah, Luke Bolton was man of the match for Salford today. I feel like he had a fantastic game. He was on point. He was well on everything. The one thing I noticed, especially in the first half, was I felt like Bolton was especially good down that left-hand side when he was on the wing, when he was getting through balls, when he was running with the ball. He had pace, he had strength. And I think the yellow card didn't help Tommy Rowe because I think, don't get me wrong, he got a couple of tackles in, got a couple of good blocks in as well, Tommy Rowe. But I feel like he was walking on a tightrope the entire match from that yellow card situation. And don't get me wrong, the referee made a few, odd calls today. I'll be perfectly honest. There was a couple of times where I thought it was handball personally, and on first glance, yeah, I thought it was. But no, Bolton down that left-hand side was just pacey. He was powerful. He definitely had that presence about him. He had strength on the ball. He held his ground. He held his own. Like a heavyweight boxer with the 1-2 good night uppercut. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. He held his ground. He held his ground very, 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 very well. And for me, was light years above Rowe and Brown and Seaman as well. Seaman had his moments, but I felt like Brown was average today. I didn't think Rowe had a particularly outstanding performance. I think both fullbacks, wing backs, were exposed quite a lot in that particular match. I think Salford took advantage of that very, very much. They won most of the aerial duels. Again, a big miss with Anderson not being there as well. In terms of the injury situation, looks like Mitch's going to be out for a little while. Maxwell's going to be out for the majority of the rest of the season. Hopefully back before the end, but we don't know yet. Jones is out for the rest of the season. Young is out for the rest of the season. Tell's out for the rest of the season. Agard's back. We don't know what Williams is yet. But we'll know more soon. Harrison Biggins didn't look good when he went down. Hopefully that's not the end of his season, but I've just got a feeling. Miller started limping and then went up for a header and sort of landed a bit funny and made it worse. So he'll be assessed to see if he's ready for Tuesday, which I fear he won't be. So the crisis at Rovers just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It's like you're playing Jenga. You just take one piece out, nothing happens. Maybe a little jolt here and there, but nothing happens. But then when you get to the 4th or 5th piece, you take it out, and the whole tower comes crumbling down. That is Doncaster Rovers. We are the Mortal Kombat Tower of Terror, and we have been beaten by Baraka on the first round. No, in fact, scratch that. Take it to 5th round, and the fatigue starts wearing off, and we get screamed at by Sindel. Mortal Kombat fans, if you know, you know. But overall, like I said, it was a poor performance overall. If we might mathematically still be in shot of the playoffs, but if anyone's got any delusions about getting in the playoffs now, just delete them. Do a broken Matt Hardy and delete them, because we are going nowhere near them playoffs. Absolutely nowhere near. We've got a 25-goal swing on 7th place Salford at the moment, who are 3 points above 8th place Mansfield, the Stags. And yeah, it's going to take 9 points and a 25-goal swing to better Salford at the minute, with about, 9 games to go. It's just not doable. It really is not doable. So it is League 2 next season. Do we deserve it? Yes, we do. We made too many mistakes on and off the pitch this season again. And serious rethink in the summer, either by the current regime or a new regime at the top of the club. Something needs to be done this summer to change the way we think, because right now the fan base is divided, the players aren't playing at the minute, the managers, we heard it in the stands, you guys heard it in the stands if you were there, the manager seems like the new Danny Schofield's becoming a scapegoat. He's becoming another scapegoat and taking the flack for player performances. Yes, there are things he should improve on. His tactics, for example, I think could be done better, I feel like. But again, you go back to that thing. What has he actually got to work with for this season? So I think for the fans, it needs to be a case of just go back to the drawing board in the summer and back Schofield with whatever he wants, because Look at League 2 potentially next season. Notts County, Wrexham, potentially Chesterfield, potentially Woking having a shot. You know, and the other teams in the playoffs, your Barnets, your Boreham Woods maybe. But in my opinion, I think it'll be one of Notts County, Wrexham or Chesterfield. Probably Notts County or Wrexham or both of them. But yeah, Notts County and or Wrexham. The League 1 teams coming down. So Cambridge look like they're done. Forest Green look like they're done. MK Dons and Burton are in with a shout. Accrington and Morecambe are in with a shout. Cheltenham aren't out of the woods yet. Oxford probably aren't out of the woods yet. And, you know, the teams that don't make the playoffs this year are strong. There's some strong teams in there that have spent some decent money. And recruits as well, even without spending money. You know, teams don't have to spend money to bring in great players. There are plenty of freebies out there that are good players. It just takes the right kind of recruitment and the right kind of network around your scouts to find the right players. And even the teams that are going to be in the playoffs this year that don't go up. You know, it's going to be a very strong League 2 next season, and if we don't compete with the teams around us, I'm not saying we're going to go and spend £2 million and outdo Wrexham in terms of spending or whatever, but if we do not compete with the teams around us as much as we can, we will struggle next season, whoever's in charge, whether it's Schofield or a different manager, we will struggle. So you're best off keeping this manager and just building around him for the next 2-3 windows minimum. I have complete faith that Schofield can turn this around. And the reason why is because he hasn't got 100% his squad yet. He's only got, 4 of his signings, and one of them's about to go on international duty for the next 2 games. Congratulations, by the way, Ben Nelson. But no, Salford 3, Salford City 3, Doncaster Rovers 1, and yeah, poor performance. Salford, obviously they're going to try and push on now. They've got 3 tough games. Stevenage away, Stockport away, and then hosting Leyton Orient. That's 3 big games and 3 huge statements to make to cement their playoff place this season, by the end of this season. For us, we travel to Crawley on Tuesday night. I won't be there for that, but I will be watching it at home on the iFollow. Why did I say that? Like a chicken. But yeah, Crawley away on Tuesday night. Crawley have got everything to lose for the rest of this season. They've got something to fight for. They won, I think, today. So again, they're going to be a team battling for something. So again, it would be a very Doncaster thing to give them points this season. And then we host Northampton next Saturday, who are chasing the playoffs, chasing automatics, still at least 3rd place anyway. So again, they've got stuff to lose for. And then we've got Crewe at home on the 1st of April. Now that game is one of those that you could see that as a dead rubber, 2 teams with nothing to play for. But Crewe could snatch something out of it because, again, we just don't seem to find any form of consistency right now. So, yeah, out of the next 9 points as a Doncaster Rovers fan, I personally believe we'd be lucky if we got 3-4 out of the next 9 points available. From an impartial point of view, I'm hoping they get at least 5 or 6 out of 9. But I'm predicting 3 or 4 out of the next 9 available. But that is it for this video, guys. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL. Ta-ra for now. Come on, you lads. Mean that badge to you.